Hello, friends!
Hello!
Welcome to Borgcast Discoverage 14.13!
13! Now you got it? Damn it!
Never getting tired of that. Anyway, we have some
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
from you.
Yes, because I had a thought on the way to the station the other day about Control and Leland. Because we said, how did Control get Leland in the chair?
Yes.
Right, well, I think Control's been evolving, yes. We started off as a hologram, didn't he? And he could do holographic representations.
Right, I can't remember that, must admit.
But he could. Mm-hmm. And then, so he's looking to...
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, he faked all the holographic stuff about Spock.
Yeah,
Okay.
So he can be a hologram.
Yeah.
And then you end up in a situation, you actually see it in the episode where he takes control of Leland, where he sort of seems to be phasing in and out. So it's kind of like, is he solid, is he not solid? And so I think because he injected the nanobots into Leland's eye, the Control you see is pretty much solid, hence can strap real Leland into a chair. But this is where Doctor Who comes in. Like the Zygons, he needs the real Leland to be alive in order to be able to copy his form.
Now, I thought you were going to a Red Dwarf place for a minute then, because you've got your hard light hologram and your soft light hologram.
Yeah, kind of.
So it starts out soft light hologram, he's not able to touch anything, and then he's working towards hard light hologram, therefore he can tie Leland to the chair. But then he realises that rather than doing that, he can actually use Leland himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're having to use, Red Dwarf to explain Star Trek.
and also Doctor Who.
Potentially doesn't, yeah, that's
because
not good,
I think he is... Because in the end, he kills Leland, doesn't he?
Yeah,
the real one.
I presume so.
Well, it seems that way anyway, because he doesn't need him anymore, because he's learnt enough. You've got to remember, it's an AI that's always learning. So his nanobots are getting better and better and better. Hence, when you meet Immanuel Kant, whatever the guy's real name was, I can't remember.
Gant, I believe.
Gant, Immanuel Gant, right. When you meet him, it is Leland. It is Control, but you don't know that yet. It's only when he falls apart and it's all icky and he just loads of nanites or nanobots, whatever they are, fall out of him. So he's evolved at that point to being indistinguishable from a human. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, he all the way through, he's been learning. So in the beginning of the episode, you're seeing him, like you were saying, soft light, hard light, phasing in and out, right? And then he becomes solid. He's capable of being solid, but he needs Leland to be able to maintain it, like a Zygon. And then by the time he's learnt enough, he shoots Leland. It's not...
No, I don't think so. I think you're inserting too much of that, because basically what we've got is he inserts the nanos into Leland, so then Leland becomes Leland Control. That's how it works. He doesn't need to keep him alive Zygon style. That's just crazy nuts.
But then why is Leland strapped to the...
So he can inject the nanos into him.
No, he's already done that through the eyepiece.
Well, clearly he hasn't injected enough of them, because you see him get injected with even more with that robot thing.
Yeah, maybe he did need more then. Maybe that was initially needed. But I still think it's the concept of he's evolving, and just because when we've seen before he couldn't do something doesn't mean he can't do it now. It's always growing, always changing, always evolving.
Okay. Anyway.
Bizarre.
What did we hear from other people? Well, we got Martin pointed out that it's kind of sort of Pike's Garden of Gethsemane, this through the Valley of Shadows, which is fairly true and very timely, obviously, in the liturgical calendar. And we've heard from Purry.
Hello, Orgs. Purry here to talk about Shadow. This was a really good episode, but oddly enough, and as is quite often the case for good episodes, I don't often have as much to say about them. Also, everyone kind of covered a lot of it in the feedback, so it's never stopped me before repeating what other people are saying, but I wasn't going to go into too much detail. The two main plots we had, the one about Section 31, that was interesting enough, although again, like everyone, the guy who they rescued, I was totally, you're in some way controlled by Control, because one survivor in the ship, it's a trap, was my first thought. So that was kind of, that one didn't hold any surprises. I was quite interested that Control managed to turn itself into a bunch of nanites, and that actually had a fairly horrific feeling, as the guy was T-1000ing when she was shooting holes in him, and then suddenly all the nanites start creeping out. It does actually make the concept of being around a controlled person quite terrifying and a wee bit nightmarish. The main plot, though, for me is the Pike one, and I think what this showed, what's been really good, I think I've talked about it before, this series is when it augments what a prequel will really do. The one thing you can really do with a prequel is you can augment the existing stuff, you can build on it, and I think they've really tried to do that with Pike. I mentioned it before in the one with Vina. In this one as well, we do get Pike, sort of a bit more of his character, and indeed I loved the idea that we didn't get too much. He didn't run away. Normally in this, to bulk out the plot, quite frankly, the character will see something nightmarish and leg it and run away, and it will be, you see, you are not worthy, and he'll have a second go at it and realise that duty calls. And indeed, I quite like the idea that that Pike, instead, he just instantly, he says, nope, it's the world, literally the fate of the galaxy is at stake. Also, I mean, you could think on all the things that could go through his head, that, I'll just wait till, he doesn't know what day it is, but I'll wait until I'm in that situation, and I'll not go on that trading cruise. But then with Pike, what does that mean? The people there die, or someone else does? And it's just such a part of his character that now he knows there's going to be an accident which will definitely put someone in that weird chair. He can't, with a good conscience, sit there and let anyone else do it, and he can't set up situations to avoid it. The guy said you just need to not take the crystal and it won't happen. But fate of the universe and all that. So I think that's a really good sign of his character. And to be honest, I'm going to miss him. We've only got one episode of Pike left. I want more Pike. So overall, it's been good stuff. I can't really fault this episode at all. And I'm now itching I'm recording this one on Thursday night, so I'm really looking forward to the next episode just to see where all this goes. I'll let you guys get on with it. All that remains to say is do keep up the good work. I always look forward to the podcast, and I'll feed back for the next episode. Until then, bye for now.
Bye, Barry. Thank you.
Bye, thank you. Yeah, you're right. We do get to see Pike's character.
Yes.
And he wouldn't let anyone else do it.
No.
And he's not going to put everyone else in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. And he has worked well in fleshing him out, because they've taken exactly what we already knew about him, and they haven't contradicted anything that we already knew. I mean,
they just added to it.
It's the danger of prequels, you overlook something that was already established, and you suddenly tie yourself through knots. Lucas. But with this, it helps that there wasn't a great deal known to start with, but they've been very faithful to that, even to the point of, nods of design work in the chair and stuff. So, just got to take your hat off to them. That has worked really well for this season. Definitely the Pike business has been the best, I think. Yeah,
I've really enjoyed it. And more than the Michael business, which has just seemed far too much to happen to one character.
Yeah, they've really overloaded her now, haven't they? But yes, more of that in this episode.
Yeah.
Such Sweet Sorrow Part 1. Now, yes,
the long goodbye.
The never-ending goodbyes, yes. So the phrase is from Romeo and Juliet, so I suppose we could use Dire Straits if we wanted to.
A love-struck Romeo, sing the streets of serenade, laying everybody low with a love song that he made. Find the streetlight, steps out of the shade, says something like, you and me, babe, how about it?
But yes, boy, does it live up to the title. Because over half the episode, his character's saying goodbye and parting, and it's really. Because you've got right from the beginning, you've got a countdown on all the view screens, so that ought to create some tension. All the tension just completely dissipated by constant goodbye scenes. Some of which are good, but then again, if you throw enough at the screen, some of them are going to stick. Yeah. Some of which are completely not needed and just filler.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it feels like they completely paced the season wrong. They thought this was the last episode. Oh, we've got no one to go. Bugger. Even to the point of, it looks like this is part 1 and part 2 has got the same title. So it just feels like they wrote the last episode and they thought, oh, hang on, we've got one left. We'll have to stick a load of stuff in that doesn't go anywhere. But anyway, never mind. It does open with a stunning shot of Sarek on a beach with Amanda bringing him a bowl of steam. Tasty steam. He comes.
I wonder if it was hot coals for him to walk on.
I don't know. He comes to and calls out for Michael. You think, ooh, what's going on? The crew are evacuating Discovery, ready for self-destruct, and we get to see the Enterprise again. Yay! and she's alongside her, and Discovery does a really cool thing to be properly aligned so that they can deploy the evacuation corridors with a silly clicking noise. I mean, okay, we're used to noise in the vacuum of space in Trek, it's a thing, but this is really?
Kind of like a transformer.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but crapper, far crapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it had made the actual transformer noise, that would have been cool. I would have bought that. And somebody we know would have exploded, I suspect. Anyway. For some reason, Pike has left Michael to pick up the time crystal, knowing full well she's going to get a vision of the future, which seems more a tad mean.
Well, isn't it? But it's in a thing, though.
Yeah, and I think possibly the suggestion is she takes it out the thing needlessly and touches it to do it on purpose. So, yeah, it took a second watch for me to get that, because the first time around, it just seemed like Pike was like, yeah, just pick that up. You know? But I don't think that's what he's doing, actually. No, I think you're right. Anyway, she gets a flash of a very nasty-looking future, more of which later. But I guess that helps pad this out, doesn't it? Pike and Saru enable the auto-destruct without any code 1, 1A, 2B, all the important stuff they leave out. Tragic. Have the writers never seen Star Trek?
But all it takes is hand, and they just everything hand. I can get you a
hand. I'll get you two if you need them. Very good, yeah. Yeah, there's no visual thing. I normally know. As they build the Enterprise, you can see Pike is very happy to be back, which is very sweet. Even the corridors of the New Look Enterprise have the red cagey stuff down the sides, which is quite cool. I think they've just taken Discovery's corridors and stuck that in a bit of red paint. But hey, it works. It works. Not a problem. Yeah. Then we see a turbo lift. Ooh, this is all the good stuff here, folks. Yes, they've even got the turbo lifts right down to the wee pointless handles of pointlessness. Which they have to twist and then say what deck they're on. Like, why would they need to do that? But they do it, bless them. We see Discovery's take on the Enterprise bridge as if we hadn't squeed enough already. And it's very, very shiny.
Very, like massive reflective surfaces, unnecessarily.
Well, it's the style of the show. It's like, I can live with that. That's not a problem. And I was a bit worried they were going to make it massively, massively big like they've done with all the bridges so far. This is bigger than it was. But let's face it, it's going to need to be a bit. But it's not too big. Although they have added a second turbo lift. Not that you ever got to see it on the screen, but I was just reading up on the people who designed it. And it's like, no, why would you do that? That's an established thing. It's only got one turbo lift. Boo.
Maybe the other one's out of order then.
No. I mean, it literally only had one turbo lift. And one of the points of the refit was to give it a second turbo lift because that was seen as an obvious safety problem. So a bit annoyed about that. But other than that, that's a very small little complaint. Pike says it's as good as I remember. Well, it's rather better than we remember, I think it's fair to say. Yeah. The Alexander Courage theme plays for good measure. Oh, apparently they were going to... Originally, the plan was just to have it on a virtual set. So they'll all be standing in front of a green screen and it will be created in a computer. Thankfully, I didn't go down that route because, it's so much better when you've got a real set. Although Giorgio boards and then complains about the orange. Orange? What orange? There's red. Is she colourblind? Maybe that's a Mirror Universe thing, but... Hey, that's weird.
Well, maybe her eyes don't work properly.
Maybe, yeah. There's a Lobot-like dude on the bridge. No idea what that's about, but it's cool. And a lizard red-faced guy. Wow, awesome.
I thought it was a girl.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. But, no, it looked male to me, but anyway. Pike orders eyes up for Discovery, which is a thing we're going to be seeing more of. I don't know whether that ever... Possibly it came up when they said goodbye to Ariam, I'm not sure, but... Yeah, they all have to stand to attention and stare at whoever it is they're saying goodbye or whatever it is they're saying goodbye to.
Okay.
But unsurprisingly, the ship doesn't auto-destruct when it should, because otherwise they need to rename the show. I mean, that was never going to happen, was it? Enterprise fires torpedoes to try and blow it up, but Discovery raises shields, revealing the sphere data has merged with the ship and is protecting it. So yes, it's looking more and more like the future that we saw in those minisodes.
Well, having said last time that I didn't see why the other shorts needed to tie in, of course, on the last time on Discovery, you got the Tilly short.
Yeah.
On the last time, this time, because of course it comes into play in this episode.
Yep.
So Mud has to be in next week's.
Not necessarily. That Mud was just a fun standalone. I mean, they don't all have to tie in, surely, but maybe.
Well, yeah. This is the only one who hasn't. Mud to the rescue.
Oh, you know. No, he got rid of that time jumpy bracelet thing, didn't he?
I don't know.
Oh, because we're right at the end of the episode. Ash says, "I've just got to go leave and do something." And he's like, "Oh yeah." I assumed that he's going to come back with a bunch of Klingons to help out, but maybe he's coming back with Mud. Anyway, okay, that's all thoughts for the future. Michael gets another vision of Discovery under attack. Leland control boarding and shooting peeps all over the place. including Giorgio right in the head. Yeah. So he hasn't wasted any time there. And Shekun gets a particularly dramatic death, sliding down her console, big hole in her. It's like, wow, but she threw her all into that. Now Michael realises they need to use the crystal to take Discovery to the future. It's a very, very long teaser, but hey ho. They realise they need to construct Dr. B's suits, which will only work for Michael because of the DNA, mRNA, there was too many initials I don't understand thing.
One of them sounds like a bank, doesn't it?
Yes.
HSBC, MBNA,
yes,
all of them.
yes.
Yeah, NatWest.
NWA. I just don't know anymore. They'll then get Discovery to follow Michael through the wormhole that she generates. Okay, right.
Through the wormhole.
No, it's not the thing. She'll then be able to send the red signals, of course, because she'll be in the future, so that solves that little mystery.
So she is the Red Angel, so they've got
She's another Red Angel. They've had two Red Angels.
But that's why they said it had to be her, and it was a complete 100% match.
No, because the one they detected wasn't her, because it turned out to be her mum. That's just the whole thing.
Well, no, they detected one, and it was her mum that came through. The one they detected may well have been Michael, hence the 100% match.
Ah, I see. Okay, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Time travel does me head in. They're also going to need an unstable red giant in a supernova state, which is apparently rare. Yeah. Giorgio suggests finding an ordinary one and firing antimatter missiles at it.
I love that.
So pick a nova and fire an antimatter missile into its core.
We would be directly responsible for destroying all life within dozens of light years, if not more.
Yep. We're not doing that. I thought there were no bad ideas.
That's a lie.
That's a bad one.
And I just like the...
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Then another red signal appears, presumably indicating the location of what they need. And we find out there's a British woman on the Enterprise bridge. Yay! Apparently this is Lieutenant Mann, who we'll be seeing more of in Part 2. Excellent.
Oh.
Of course, technically, Shazad Latif is British, but he seems more Klingon most of the time, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Number 1 reveals she's retrofitted their shuttles and some flyers with phaser arrays to help them defend themselves.
I like that.
Because she kicks butt.
Yep.
And then, of course, they have to recrew Discovery so it can jump to the accompaniment of May's screams, no doubt. They arrive at Zahir, home to Tilly's friend Poe from the minisode Runaway. Hey.
Winky Winky.
Yes,
Dixie.
yes. And speaking of Poe, we go to Pooh, a.k.a. Hugh,
who
comes to see Stamets, who's thinking of moving on from Starfleet, moving forwards, and he wishes Pooh happiness. First of many, many goodbyes in this story. Poe beams up and gives Tilly a hug, and
I love that. They're all standing there, all formal, Your Highness, whatever, and she just goes, Tilly! Just runs to give her a hug and then eats a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah. Pike politely uses her full name, which impresses her. Unlike Giorgio, who she tells off for snark.
I like that, though. She's like, she likes Reno, and she says, I like you, and Reno goes, I like you too. And then she just hands her a bowl of ice cream. She's, I've got a law against snark. Just passes it to her. I love it.
Then they work out it's going to be a one-way trip for Michael. Okay. We get another pointless swinging over the top shot of a shuttle landing in Discovery's hangar bay.
I hate the way
we have to see it upside down in order for it to work. It's like, there's no need to turn the camera around. Duh. Yes, it's my least favourite director of the series again, Olatunde Osunsami. Never mind. It's been relatively restrained up to this point, but although there were some silly zippy shots on the Enterprise bridge. Ash doesn't react well to Michael's news, unsurprisingly. Pike orders eyes up for her, so there's the second one of the episode. She proclaims her love for the crew in a speech that's, well, at least short anyway. But there's another silly overhead shot in the engineering lab as Poe and Tilly work on the cool-looking glowy crystal. Which, again, absolutely no point in doing that.
Looks like a massive block of cider lolly.
He's great, isn't it? Spock and Amanda turn up to say their goodbyes.
Now, this one I like, because that's why you got the shot of Sarek on the beach, is the Catra connection. He knows that Michael's in jeopardy.
Catra connection, weren't they in the charts in the 1970s?
No, that's Kajagoogoo.
Oh, yes.
And I like the fact that, they've turned up to try and square everything away and sort it out and whatever. And it's interesting that Sarek says that Spock has asked Sarek to keep his distance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which kind of fits what we'll get later on in the original series.
Yeah.
Or earlier on, depending on... I hate time travel, the prequels!
But that, for me, this is one of the goodbyes that works.
Yes, and particularly if Michael is not coming back, we have to have this scene. You have to have closure on that relationship. If it turns out that, actually, no, she does come back and all is well, it's going to feel like, so why did we need all these goodbyes? But anyway, we'll see. We also seem to get a goodbye from Tilly, but then she leads Michael to the bunch of the crew who are staying with her. And it's mostly the same crew we see in her vision, except Spock's not in the vision, interestingly. We get a goodbye from Ash, who's not coming because he wants to make 31 great again, or something.
Well, no, it's not that. Because that makes him out to be a baddie, and that's not fair.
He's always seen that 31 could be useful, and he's recognised it's been badly run, and he wants to make sure that Control never happens again. It's like,
exactly, yeah, but it's more like... If everything is left as it is, what's to stop the paranoid people currently running 31 from having the whole thing happen again? He's saying there needs to be somebody who's had first-hand experience of this shit telling them no.
Yeah. Anyway, cue more kissing anyways, which our daughter was not pleased with, it just said.
What was it she called it? What's with all the mushy?
The mushy, yes. Well, I agree with her. There's too much mushy. We see the crew recording their goodbye messages, because we haven't had enough goodbyes at this point.
Bloody hell, yeah.
I mean, on the upside, we get some from Owishekin and Detmer, so, valuing these characters, but, yes, so bored of goodbyes already.
It's like being in Return of the King, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Back in his shiny Enterprise uniform, hey! Pike's last duty is to hand the captaincy over to Saru. Excellent. He then gives speeches about all the crew. Yeah, get on with it. Narn is staying, which I guess is nice. And they all get to do the stand-up straight hero pose for him, which he has, after all, earned. So fair enough.
He has, but this is where I really noticed the lack of uniform with Spock, who is neither wearing an Enterprise uniform nor a Discovery uniform.
Nope. No, he gets away with just wearing black, apparently. We're on teacups again. That spinning thing. That's how our daughter describes it, the spinning camera thing being on because it's the fairground ride that whizzes you round, you sit in a teacup. Yeah. Discover the cage stopping people getting visions. The future needs to come off the crystal to speed up its charging, and Reno volunteers to be exposed to it. Oh, you think, what's she going to see? There's a nice I still dislike you from Stamets, which is the right way to say goodbye, that one. But then Reno just gets a bit of the same visual as Michael, so it's literally padding that bit.
Well, no, not necessarily. I think it's Chekhov's torpedo.
What? Yeah, we saw the torpedo before.
Yeah, but again, it's another highlight of the torpedo. That's going to be key in the following episode.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Giorgio beams Pike and Ash aboard the Enterprise and can't resist blabbing about her true origins. She's so bad at secrets. Yeah. Somebody works for a secrets group. She's really not good, is it?
But I love the way that Pike goes, "What mirror universe?" and winks.
Yeah,
and you just
somebody's already blabbed to him.
I think Michael.
My money's on Tilly, actually.
Okay, yeah, no, that would work. That would work. But if not, Michael has. Yeah.
Oh, and Ash. This is the point where Ash says he has to leave to do something. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Klingon reinforcements, maybe mud. We shall see.
I think mud.
The episode ends with a tense face-off with Control ships surrounding the goodies. So, yes, we're all ready for part 2, but boy, we didn't need most of part 1, did we?
No. I do like Saru, though. Prepare for battle.
Yeah. There's 15 to 20 minutes of a good episode here, particularly, obviously, the stuff around the Enterprise, and the post stuff's nice as well. Sort of sugars the pill somewhat, but, yeah, they really didn't time this well, did they? There's too many goodbyes and flash forwards, and oh, dear. Padding!
Yeah, I think that, though, the idea is to ratchet up the tension. I think the idea is to make you think that you're going to be saying goodbye to all of these people.
But it backfires if that's the case, because you just end up being annoyed. Well, I did anyway, and I know my daughter did as well. And our son, he was yelling, "Get on with it" as well.
Yeah.
So, there's 3 out of the 4 Organ family not impressed with this.
I think for me that there were too many, but I think some of them, of the background characters, it's better to have them in there because it fleshes them out.
Yeah, I agree. Getting some more from Moashek and Detmer is always going to get points from me because they need to be fleshed out more just in case they plan to kill them at some point in the future. Don't know about Ariam, where you only find out about her on the episode, they kill her off.
Yeah.
So, let's find out more about these characters. They've been around for long enough now.
So I think one goodbye for Michael and only one, because she had 2 big ones, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, the Spock Amanda needs to happen if, indeed, she's not coming back from the future.
So that one's fair enough. The Pike one, eyes up for Pike, that's fair enough. And you got your 2 background characters. I'm not sure we needed the Hugh Stamets thing at all. I don't think we needed him.
Not necessarily, unless all these crew are going to end up stuck in the future with her, possibly. But, I mean, and then on the upside, if that's the case, then they've not brought those characters back together again, as they seem to be threatening to do with the various agony aunts giving them advice. So,
that might be But then you've got another one with Stamets saying goodbye to someone we don't know, not needed.
Oh, yeah, a brother or sister,
So,
presumably.
yeah. Don't...
Sister.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I'm sure they're not going down that route.
No, so we didn't need that one, and you don't need two lots of. You've got Michael gets to say goodbye to on the bridge, and then you have all the people there at the end going, "We're not going, really."
Yeah.
We don't need both of them.
No.
And what was the other one that pissed me off? Oh, and with Ash as well, because actually she and Ash have reconciled already. We've already had their relationship get sorted. We didn't need another one. You still have him in the transporter bin going, I've got to fuck off and do something else.
Yes, I think, yes.
But you don't need that goodbye. So you could cut, I think, half. If you think of how many goodbyes there are, I think you could cut half, and I think it would still be ratcheting up the tension, and it would still be potentially adding to the characters of the story, but the other half are just not needed.
No. Anyway, we'll find out how much they pack into part 2, and then we'll be able to take a considered opinion as to how much was padding and how much was needed. But anyway.
Yeah.
We have heard from Doreen.
And Doreen writes, I'm finding it difficult to feed back for this because it's the start of the story. There are a good number of scenes in space with plenty of ships, and it made Anthony observe that Discovery was quite big. It's a similar size to the Enterprise, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit bigger. Yeah.
Amanda and Sarek's appearance was quite nice. Yeah, we agree, we like that one. My pessimistic side is worried this will not end well, but I think it still has room to be a good ending. P.S. I like that in the evacuation scene it was a man who dropped his bag and was helped. In most earlier Trek it would have been a woman.
Oh, right, okay. Hadn't noticed that.
Thank you.
We've heard from Martin.
Good morning, Orgs. Well, unless you've managed to fabricate yourselves your own very own Red Angel suit and are preparing to catapult back in time, which I suppose must be a tempting prospect with a busy Easter coming up. So do I get any points for guessing that Burnham's the Red Angel? Or a Red Angel, certainly. At least we have an answer now as to why it's so specifically key to her DNA, so they could use it later on. I suppose the time crystal's coming into its own now. We kind of we get that back, and I think I called that last week as well, that we might use the time crystal to catapult Discovery back in time, which would line up with Calypso, except it doesn't at the moment because all the crew are going to come with Michael, unless, of course, in 1,000 years they all die out. But then I suppose with Calypso it did look very perfect, didn't it? So I'm sure there must have been some signs of decay, whatever, unless Burnham goes on her own self-sacrifice mission and leaves everybody else behind. But I suppose we'll sort that out next week. But yes, we had Poe back from Runaway though. That fed into it, and it was she was a lovely presence to have. And Tilly was just so excited to have her back. So after no Tilly last week, I think she's really coming to her own this week, and it was brilliant to see her play off against particularly Giorgio. It was a bit of a grouch, and it's interesting, yes, how Giorgio reveals from the mirror. She was from the Mirror Universe in a bit of a clunky line to Pike at the end. Oh, by the way, I'm Terran. What's Terran? I don't know. From your Mirror Universe. What? Just the one? You've only just got one Mirror Universe, and although worth it for that cheeky wink of Pike. Yes, it is a shame he's not hanging around though. I mean, I think he could in continuity. I think I did read something somewhere about him able to do so within the continuity. I suppose at least for 2-3 more years. Then again, I don't particularly know how it all marries up. But yeah, this was an interesting episode. Again, we kind of have the calm before the storm penultimate episode as we're planning what we can do to get out of everything. Lots of people talking to each other in sort of cloistered little sidelines about their feelings, and recording sort of messages home and things like that, which is all designed to tug at the heartstrings a bit. Sorry, I don't mean to sound a bit grouchy. I suppose it's because I've seen so much, I kind of know the tropes a bit more. A few weeks ago, I actually predicted that Michael would say to her mum, don't go, I've only just got you back. I'm not going to lose you again. You can see this coming. Well, we finally got on the bridge of the Enterprise. I thought it looked very good. A lot of the scenes between the two spaceships I thought were very well directed, very well carried out, and I think the Enterprise looks very nice. It's again, you can see him struggling a bit, trying to keep that classic aesthetic, but updating it a bit for the time. Oh, well, updating it a bit to our time. But I think it all looked very shiny, very new, classic-y thing sort of look. Sorry, that doesn't make sense. Also, yes, sorry for last week. I know there was some tapping on the feedback. That was my ring hitting the table, so I was getting a bit passionate there. I suppose it looks a bit like the Apple iStore Enterprise from the JJ movies. It all still looked very nice though, and again, I suppose it's another little. Not for fans of classic Trek. I'd be happy if in the third season perhaps we steered away a bit from the classic era, from some of the tropes. But why not? Why not have a revel in it? That's okay. Yeah, and Narn is apparently staying around. That's one of the things that made me laugh. Saying like, if you have me, if I can be of use, yeah. What use have you been all season? Then what have you done apart from introducing us to your utterly wonderful scant? Which, yes, I don't want that at all. Yes, anyway. So I think that's about everything I've got to say about this one, unless I suddenly think of something once I press stop once more, which always happens. But very much looking forward to the finale. Sad to say goodbye to Pike as well. I don't know how Spock's going to feature into it, because he's got to remain in the timeline, doesn't he, to go back onto the Enterprise. But yeah, this was a nice sort of, a lot of bits of fun as well. I think having Poe back, I think it was good. I suppose we'll see how it all marries up next week. Perhaps the final shot we'll just see the battle overhead, and it'll pan down to Harry Mudd on the beach sipping jippers. Okay then, till next week. Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, another prediction for Mudd returning.
What use has Narn been besides the scant, which it is a nice scan? Well, she was the one who in the end pushed Ariam out the airlock.
Yes, she has.
So she has saved the day at least once.
Yes, quite costly as well, but yeah.
Yeah. He likes the refit.
Yep, the refit's good.
I don't dislike it. I'm not complaining about it. I just found it very shiny. And if I was in it, I would find it too shiny a working environment.
To be wandering around in shades.
Yeah, not just, basically, I'm blinking all the time and struggling to refocus my eyes.
Yeah. Oh, he did say, by the way, in his email that he meant to say forward to the future rather than back to the future.
Oh, but it gets confusing when you're watching a prequel, though, doesn't it?
It does. Time travel, prequels. Poe's definitely good fun in this.
Yeah, and it's great to see Tilly so excited.
Yeah. They could keep Pike on for a bit in continuity, but the longer they keep him for, the more danger is that they cock up established continuity. So, to be honest, I think the season's probably long enough. We've had a good time with him. Let's move on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Who else we heard from?
We have heard from Andrew.
Last week I said something about them explaining why they didn't just jump away and it not being strong enough. And it's reiterated at the beginning of this episode. They don't jump away because Leland will follow. I've changed my mind on that. That was before they had a plan. Once they go to Zahea and they get Poe, who's brilliant in at least two senses of the word, that's when they should spore jump away. They should spore jump away somewhere far enough that by the time Leland gets to them, they'll have charged up the time crystal, and then they can put into practice their plan to go to the future. It's one of Discovery's hey, you're doing this, why didn't you do that moments, where they don't appropriately foreclose other options before deciding on the one course of action that they're going to take. But if we remember Calypso, and if Calypso is going to be a part of this continuity, then everything isn't going to go entirely to plan, because Zora says in Calypso she's been waiting for nearly 1,000 years. Discovery doesn't get sent 1,000 years into the future, it waits in one spot for that length of time, over which the Zora AI emerges. So Discovery got to the future the long way. Maybe Burnham gets to the future via the time crystal, but if we include Calypso in our thinking, then it seems like Discovery doesn't. One thing that I did like about this episode is that everybody pretty much has something to do. I really liked the characters writing or dictating letters to friends and family. I liked Pike saying farewell to all the people on the bridge, particularly those bridge officers who have no characteristics at all, which makes it a little difficult. It's a little like Rimmer in that Red Dwarf episode where he's going to go to the holoship and he says to everybody,
I have come to regard you as people I met.
It's one step better than that for those few bridge officers who yet to have personalities, but I like the idea of it. I like the sentiment behind it, and it was well executed as well. One thing that I did like is that the dialogue scenes, particularly the more emotional dialogue scenes, were not overwritten at all. They were all quite brief, quite punchy. They did what they had to do, and they didn't overstay their welcome, which at this point in the series is exactly what you want. So thumbs up for that. I've been trying to piece together a little bit the chronology of these flash forwards that people have. Burnham's is sort of confined to the bridge and everything going to hell, and Leland coming on board and shooting everyone. Interesting thing about that scene is that Burnham is wearing her Starfleet uniform. She's not wearing the suit that she was made. So whenever this battle takes place, it seemingly happens after whatever they're going to do with the suit. Jet Reno's is interesting. Jet Reno's doesn't have her in it. When Pike touches the crystal, he sees himself. When Burnham touches the crystal, she sees herself. Reno doesn't see herself. Reno sees Leland, Giorgio, and Nan in Discovery's science room. She sees Nilsson and Stamets in sickbay, but not herself, which is kind of interesting. If we take as read that by touching the crystal, as in the last episode, whatever you see will happen. If we take that as read, then everyone on that bridge gets shot and killed. That's just going to happen. But then when Burnham is on the Enterprise bridge, she has a vision of the future, just a few seconds in the future, where they fire torpedoes at Discovery and it doesn't blow up the ship. And then it goes back and the self-destruct fails and they're about to fire torpedoes and she says stop. And they don't. So the future is malleable if you make the right choices based on the information that you have. I don't know what to think about that. Just have to wait and see now if next week if those visions come true. And if they do, what does that mean? And if they don't, what does that mean? Maybe, through time travel shenanigans, it's a future that does happen, but then gets wiped out. Because Spock's not there. Who knows what he's doing? Maybe that's Spock's real importance in this whole Red Angel situation, to unwind the deaths of everybody on Discovery. But it could just be a vision of the dire future they're all hoping to avoid, and I'm just massively overthinking it. On which self-reflective note, I'm going to bring this to a close. Last episode next week. I feel like they still have quite a lot to wrap up. That's if they are even wrapping up this storyline this season. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. Maybe it is going to go into the next season. We can only wait and see. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I did feel a lot of those scenes overstayed their welcome by some way, but never mind.
Yeah.
Or didn't need to be there in the first place.
What you said, Andrew, about Calypso had been waiting for 1,000 years has produced in my mind another theory.
Oh, blimey.
What if Discovery wasn't sent into the future? What if Discovery was sent into the past in order to allow the sphere data, which is linking with Discovery, to evolve into Zora, the AI, in order that Zora can fight Control and beat it?
Heaven knows.
So that's my theory. It may be like Paris, and therefore not much good, and not come to anything. I don't know, but that's my theory. Also, if we're seeing that the future is malleable if you make the right choices, because it could be that only Pike's future is locked because he took the time crystal from where it was growing.
Yeah. Yes, he unplanted it. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Uprooted it?
Yes, that would be a better word. Thank you.
Okay. So, his future is locked. The vibe I'm getting, and I don't know whether you were, but the vibe I'm getting for the visions people are seeing is reminding me of yesterday's Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And a possible parallel future, and that they're kind of aware of, in the same way as Guinan, isn't she? She's kind of aware even if she can't quite put her finger on it, she knows it's wrong and it's not supposed to be like this kind of thing. To me, that does seem Trek, the way Trek does time travel in the future and stuff, that you can change it, and that you might be seeing an alternate future or a different future, and you need to use your knowledge to change it. So that's my thinking. My thinking is it won't come to pass the way we see it. And you could be right, Andrew. It could be that, whether or not it involves Spock, I don't know. But again, he seems to be on board with time travel, and that's where it scrambled his brain. So he could have a part to play. That actually none of this is going to have happened. None of the deaths are going to have happened, and actually the whole development of Control is just gone.
So I think it is pointed that we don't see Spock in those visions of the future.
Yeah.
Because obviously they can't kill him off. So.
No, they can't, which then makes me wonder. I'm not saying that the whole series of Discovery we just watched didn't happen, but I think there's going to be a clock reset. And I think perhaps the fact that Zora was waiting means that what actually happens is Discovery gets shot back into the past. And then by the time we see Discovery again, you've got, I think possibly you've got the two AIs fighting then.
I'm just watching Jet Reno's vision of the future again, because it didn't quite match what I remember seeing. And yeah, she's definitely just seeing the flashes of the battle, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it didn't quite match what Andrew was saying. But
he said that she saw people in sick bay.
No, you see, it's literally just a few seconds, and it's all stuff we've already seen. Here we go again. Torpedo hitting the Enterprise.
There was a brief shot of sick bay.
Stamets reacting to the... I don't think it's sick bay. Stamets reacting to the impact, and that's it. That's all we see in that pointless little flash.
But again, it's highlighting the torpedo wedged in the Enterprise.
It is, underlying that, yes.
Hence my thinking it's Chekhov's torpedo.
Yes.
It's going to somehow be crucial.
But yeah, good point about noticing that Burnham's in a normal uniform in those flash forward scenes and not in a jumpsuity thing. So, cool, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Certainly lots of food for thought. They do like to get us speculating, don't they?
They
with
do.
This stuff,
they do.
Which is no bad thing. Right. And finally, we've heard from the Llama God.
Llama God's logs, Godtik, Neujik, Care, Neujik, will always be with you. Oh, right, so this was a bit controversial, wasn't it? I mean, I guess we're going to have to wait and see what will happen and whether the Emperor himself is actually coming back. And, oh, yeah, okay, we're not meant to be talking about that, are we? We're talking about the other science fiction thing that hit the interweb streams today, so let's see what's going on in tonight's episode of Discovery. But before we do that, I was quite bad last week. I completely omitted to mention any of Joe's feedback, and that's mostly because I stood outside in the cold wind, as you heard, in between conference sessions trying to remember what it was that I wanted to say about the episode. So, from last time, she pointed out that she likes Spock and Michael. They've got a good dynamic when he's not being an asshole, and she liked the whole the time crystal stuff because that was just like in all the best fairy tales. So, hopefully I've addressed that now. Now, back to tonight's episode. So, yeah, this episode was frustrating in a number of ways. It's mostly marking time, waiting for the big final battle to happen at the end of the next episode, during the season finale, and it was frustrating. There's a lot of potentially powerful stuff here, a lot of goodbyes. I mean, parting is such sweet and indeed very tedious sorrow, as we get to see everyone saying goodbye to pretty much everyone else. We even get Spock and Amanda turning up to say goodbye to Michael because of reasons, and then Michael says goodbye to everyone, and they don't say goodbye to everyone because everyone's saying goodbye because they're going with her instead, and everyone's going to the future, they're all saying goodbye to everyone else, and yeah, we know it's not actually going to pan out and anything's going to happen because Spock was going with them, and unfortunately this offers him a small amount of plot immunity, and we know that whatever happens in the future, it's probably going to be right for most of them, so that's a bit disappointing when he did that. I mean, yes, it's a powerful thing, all the crew are making a stand together, but yeah, it was nice to see the return of Poe. I'm just going to go with Poe because that's the way I can pronounce all that. Nice to see from the short, and given that we're now covering most of the shorts, it seems that, yeah, this really is going to tie into the Calypso short, and we're going to see the Discovery in the future, and this is where the AI is going to come into it. All that remains then is for the Mud short to come into it, and I guess that's how the AI is going to find a body, because Mud's android producing factory is clearly going to create a body for her. So, yep, there we go, that's all going to tie it up nicely in a nice little mushroom-shaped bow. Aside from that, really, there's not really an awful lot to say about this one. As I say, it really is just marking time. But what I can talk about is all the starship porn. Literally starship porn. There's so much of it to the extent that the starships themselves are even pictured mating, and they've got like 4 or 5 penises. But obviously this is how baby starships are made. I mean, we even get to see their little spawn of offspring floating around in space at the end of the episode, and my god, they've copulated quickly because they've made quite a lot of little baby spaceships. It's really cute to see. But once again, we get to see the problem with the Discovery, which is that she just doesn't look as nice next to the Enterprise. This is something I remember that Joe said, and I remember to say it tonight, is that Joe actually thinks Discovery is very pretty. Admittedly, her touchstone for Star Trek is Discovery, so she hasn't really got much of a bar to measure anything against, because if she did, she'd obviously have the more correct opinion that the Enterprise D is the best looking Enterprise. But this version of the Enterprise original is just so gorgeous, and oh my god, that bridge. Oh my god, the bridge. It is absolutely so fucking gorgeous. And I thought I liked Discovery and the Shenzhou's bridges just for the openness, but that's how you do the bridge. Sorry, JJ, I mean, I know you had your own take on the bridge, but that's how you do the Enterprise bridge. It looks like the Enterprise bridge, but just updated, and it's gorgeous. And yeah, they kept the thing where you can see out the window, you can see a bit of the hole, a bit of the saucer. I like that. That's good. It's taking the original concept and just updating it, and oh my god, it's gorgeous. And to be honest, that's most of where my attention was going during this episode anyway, just to see how bloody good the Enterprise actually looked. So I'm sure other people can have more to say about this episode than I would, but as I say, really this one felt like it was marking time until we get the climactic battle and the hugely emotional payoff to the series at the end of the next episode. So I guess we'll just have to wait until next week to see. And until next week comes around, glory to you and your cast.
Oh yeah, you put your finger on it there. Marking time plus starship porn. Yeah, it's like they sort of wrote this episode with all these goodbyes. Thought this is really going to bore the starship geeks. Let's put some in. I know, we'll do the Enterprise bridge. That'll keep them happy.
I did like your description of the ship's mating.
Yes. I mean, having babies.
Yeah. Yes. So do you think then that Tyler is going to get a mud android body for Zora to inhabit? Are we going to see Mud fighting Leland?
I don't know.
As Zora versus Control.
She doesn't have a body in Calypso, does she? So I wouldn't have thought so. But anyway.
No, she doesn't have a body in Calypso, but Mud has all these fake bodies. So is Tyler going to get one of these fake bodies for Zora to inhabit? And then what will happen is we'll see Mud fighting Leland, but in reality it will be Zora fighting Control.
Who knows?
Maybe they'll do wrestling.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, the bit he said at the beginning, date stamps things, the teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode 9, it came out earlier yesterday, so that's what that's about. Brilliant, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And it's great to hear Joe's opinions as well.
Yeah.
Even if, yes, you're quite right, she's wrong about which is the best-looking spaceships. Anyway. So, yes, that then brings us along to the last episode of the season next week. Sorrow Part 2. Yeah, it's make or break, really, isn't it? Because ultimately, most of this season's been a really good ride. There's only been a few sort of points where I wasn't so impressed, but they've built it up to such an extent, particularly with this agonising story of tedious goodbyes stopping us getting on with the plot, that if it doesn't really go out with a bang next week, it's going to be in trouble, isn't it? But hey, I'm sure they've got something planned.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which of the various crackpot theories actually turn out to be true.
Yes, there we go. Get rid of your bingo cards. Let's see who's right. Eyes down for a full house. Catch you then.
It's eyes down instead of eyes up.
Yes, indeed. Catch you then. Cheery, bye.
Bye.
Too long blonde hair and your eyes are blue. The only thing I ever got from you was sorrow.
All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. Hashtag Borgcast.
Sorrow.
Shut it down!
Off, you bugger. Off.